Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants, and today in this video we are going to cover the last part of this chapter. Now let's begin with the first question here, which was asked in the year 2007. For a critical study of secondary growth in plants, which one of the following pairs is suitable? So when we talk about the secondary part, when we talk about the secondary growth or whatever, teak and pine are the most suitable for the study of critical secondary growth, because in secondary growth, secondary tissues are formed from the, you always have to remember whenever we talk about secondary system, we always have to remember we have to take into account the lateral meristem. Okay, the lateral meristem paves the way for it, which is well developed in these two cases, and the secondary growth occurs in gymnosperms and dicots. So if you want much more information about the teak and pine, if you see, pines are considered to be softwood, lightweight and less expensive due to its lightweight in the pine, while teak, if you see, it's quite expensive, it's quite hard, and it's of good weight also. Okay, so this is all about that you need to know here. Teak is also called as Tectona grandis, which is a scientific name of it, and it's a tropical hardwood tree species, and it is used in many other industrial and business purposes. Okay, therefore when we talk about secondary growth, which one of the pair will be suitable? If you see, it is option A, teak and pine. And when we talk about secondary growth, this secondary growth is what makes us which is from the lateral meristem, which makes us suitable for the learning purposes. Okay, next question here. Ectophilic siphonostil is found in dash. What do you mean by that? There's something given in your question. Ectophilic siphonostil, that is the central part that is surrounded by xylem, phloem, pericycle and endodermis. The phloem occurs only outside the xylem, and that is what they have given here. So the correct one is option A, osmonda and equistem. So here actually, what do they comprise? If you see, they'll comprise of xylem, phloem, pericycle and endodermis, and you have the xylem, phloem, endoderm and the pith in the center. The phloem occurs usually it is outside. The xylem will be the inner part and the phloem will be the outer part. And the examples for this, where is it found? If you see, it is found in osmonda and equistem. The correct answer is option A. Next question here. Main function of the lenticel. I think we discussed in the fifth part about it, right? We saw three functions of it. If you remember, it gives support, structure and so on. One of the many raised spores in the stem of the woody plant that allows gaseous exchange, and even this we spoke about in the earlier part. This is actually a repeated question that they are asking here. When we talk about lenticel, it is actually a pore, okay, that is present in the stem, which allows transpiration purposes, or you call it as gaseous exchange purpose. Okay, the correct term will be it will actually what to do when there is gaseous exchange, it will automatically help the plant in transpiration. Lenticels are pores that are present in the woody stem through which the transpiration or the loss of water vapor takes place. The formation begins from the development of the first periderm. In the stem, they usually appear below a stroma and group of stomata. It should always be noted that lenticels can be present in fruits such as apple and pear. So this is just an information that I would like to give here. So the main function of the lenticel is option A, transpiration. Okay, next question here. Which of the following meristems is responsible for the extrastellar secondary growth in dicotyledonous stem? Okay, this, if you see, you have four options here. Intercalary, cambium. So they have clearly asked which meristem it is. Obviously, it is not the first two, they are cambiums, so it should be either C and D. Intervascular cambium occurs inside the vascular bundles in between the xylem and phloem. Intervascular. So intra is between the vascular bundles, while inter is develops from the strips of the level of intervascular cambium. Now the right answer is phellogen. Okay, what do you mean by phellogen? We already discussed about it in the earlier parts. If you remember, it will be easy for you to answer now. See, phellogen is actually a cork cambium. Okay, it is a tissue that is found in many vascular plants as a part of epidermis. Okay, it is one of the many layers of the bark between the cork. Okay, it's between the cork and the primary phloem. Okay, so these things you need to remember about phylogen. So which one of the following meristem is responsible for the extrastellar secondary growth in dicotyledonous plant? Is the option D, phylogen. Okay, next question here. Procambium forms dash. Okay, what do you mean by procambium? Procambium, I mean something that is formed prior. The vascular cambium is the main growth tissue in the stems and roots of many plants. Specifically, when we come to dicots such as buttercups and oak trees, gymnosperms such as pine trees, as well as certain vascular plants, they produce something called secondary growth. And what helps for that? It's the lateral meristem. Xylem inwards towards the pith and the secondary phloem outwards and towards the bark. So this is an introduction about procambium. Other than that, you can just call procambium as a meristematic tissue which is concerned with providing primary tissues of the vascular system. So I've given the clue of almost what the answer is. Yes, procambium forms only the primary vascular bundles. Okay, procambium is a derivative of shoot apical meristem, and what does it form? Vascular bundles or vascular strand, but particularly it forms only primary. Okay, so here you have the procambium. It's a microscopic view that I've given here. So here you can see this spot. Okay, fine. The correct answer is option A. Next question here. As the secondary growth takes place in a tree, thickness of dash. Okay, so this is an easy question for you to tell now. We already discussed about it. See, as the secondary growth takes place in the tree, the thickness of the heartwood will increase. Heartwood is a central wood of maturation which happens in a dicot stem, and it's a non-functional part because there is no conduction or there's no specific function taking place. What it simply does, it gives a mechanical support to the stem. So as the secondary growth takes place in a tree, the thickness of the heartwood increases. The correct answer is option A. So you have, now you see what is a heartwood. Okay, in the previous chapter, I mean in the previous part 5, I said I will show you a picture of heartwood. So now you can correlate. If you had watched my video of part 5, I would have mentioned now I'm going to show you heartwood, but I haven't inserted the picture here. But now you can see what a heartwood is. The dark brown centric part, which is a non-conducting part. It does not conduct any water or minerals. It just gives support to the plant. Okay. Fine, the correct answer is option A. Next question here. Abnormal or anomalous secondary growth occurs in dash. So this is a direct question. You don't have much explanation for this. The correct answer is Dracena. Okay, the abdominal secondary growth is found in it is mostly found in absorbent monocots. Out of the 4, the monocot is Dracena, which is option A. Other than that, if you want to know what this, the plant is, we can call it as, of course it's a monocot, all that is fine. But apart from that, what does the plant do? They're sometimes called as cordline. Okay, the name Drachna is derived from the Romanized form of ancient Greek word which means female dragon. So I will show you a picture of how it looks like. So this is how it looks. Okay, mostly they will use it as ornamental plants in many places. Apart from that, it can be kept indoors and outdoors also. This plant doesn't do any harm. So abnormal or anomalous secondary growth occurs in Dracena, which is option A. Next question here. Which exposed wood will decay faster? So you have soft sap wood with lot of fibers, hardwood and so on. So this is an easy question for you. Sapwood is actually the fresh wood, and that's actually the conducting part of the tree or the plant. Okay, so when you put in the sapwood, when it is exposed, okay, that will decay faster. Okay, sapwood is less durable because it is susceptible to the attack of pathogen and insects. It is physiologically active and conduction of water takes place through it. Hardwood, if you see, it will not be attacked because it's already accumulation of the dead elements over it. Wood with lot fibers is also durable, while softwood, if you see, that is also durable when compared to the sapwood here. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A. Okay. The first thing, they are fresh. There is still life in it and there's conduction of water taking place. So the activity is still going on. So when it is exposed to a lot of environment or other factors, they are easily susceptible to the insects and pathogens. They act on it. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. Next question here. A narrow layer of thin-walled cells found between the phloem or bark and the wood of Dicot is dash. Okay, this is a direct question here, which we all know what the answer is. It is obviously the vascular cambium, because we have taken we have mentioned it is a narrow layer, because the vascular cambium is a narrow layer. They are talking about it is between the phloem or the bark and the wood of Dicot system. Vascular cambium is produced by the two types of meristem. What you call it as? What are the two types of meristems that you have to remember? Vascular and intervascular. We already discussed in the earlier part. Right, so now you know what the answer is. A narrow layer of thin wall cells found between the phloem or the bark of the wood of the dicot is the vascular cambium. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B. Next question here. Periderm is produced by dash. This question was asked in the year 1993. So here you have four options. Remember that secondary ground tissue is the other name for periderm. What is the other name of periderm? Secondary growth tissue, and that is formed by phellogen, or phellogen here again is also called as cork cambium. The phellogen forms phellem on the outer surface, the outer face, or the phelloderm in the inner part. The three layers which contribute to form the periderm, we already saw in the earlier part, three factors which are collectively called together as periderm is phellogen, then you have phelloderm, and the other one was also phellogen, phellem and phelloderm. They are jointly constitutively called together as periderm. So periderm is produced from the phellogen, and when we talk about periderm, all three factors that I said, phellem, phellogen and phelloderm, jointly constitute the periderm. The correct answer is option C. So now let's move to the next question here. Vascular cambium produces dash. So this question was repeated in 1990 and 92. So to tell you about vascular cambium, we already spoke a lot about it. It's a tissue, and what are the other facts about it and all that. Now once again, let me tell you what is vascular cambium is. So vascular cambium, obviously it will be present in the vascular plants. Okay, so these vascular cambiums are the main growth tissue of the stem and roots. They are of the stems and roots of many plants, specifically in dicots, especially buttercups, oak trees and other examples. So these vascular cambium is actually the singular form and cambia is a plural form. It is located between the xylem and the phloem in the stem and roots of vascular plants, and it is a source for both secondary growth of xylem, and it can be, that is from inwards and outwards we are talking about. That is a main factor that it does. So vascular cambium produces, now I've given the clue what the answer is now. The correct answer is option B, secondary xylem and secondary phloem growth. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option B. Next question here. Commercial cork is obtained from dash. I think by now all of you would have guessed the answer. So the correct answer is oak, which is Uris or Queris, whatever you can call it as. This actually uses, the one that we see when we talk about commercial means, we are talking always in resemblance to the bottle oak. We're talking about the bottle cork. Okay, cork cells are nothing but the dead cells which are accumulated on the layers, and they are obtained and used as the cork material in different beverages and bottles, which is very tight when it is used, and it packs the system very airtight container. And more important is that they have more durability. Okay, so here you have the answer. The correct answer is option C. Cork cells are dead, subrised and impervious to water and air. They are compactly arranged with no intercellular spaces. That is the main reason why we use especially for alcoholic beverages. This is the reason. When there is more atmosphere inheritance inside the with the beverage or with anything that is not necessary at all, so you can use in those kind of systems. Therefore the correct answer to this question is option C. Next question here. Cork cambium and vascular cambium are dash. This is a very easy question for you, because we already saw about this a lot in the parts of this chapter. Yes, the right answer is lateral meristem. Cork cambium and vascular cambium are responsible for the secondary growth, And what is secondary growth, where it is highlighted, or where is the main part of it? It is a lateral meristem. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. See, these questions, they did not require much explanation because we already talked about a lot in the earlier parts of the same chapter. So that is why I gave you a direct answer saying that. And whenever we talk about the secondary growth, I told you always you have to think about the lateral meristem, right? Fine. Next question here. Which is the correct fact about the diffuse or the ring porous wood? This question was asked in year 1989. When we talk about ring porous wood, it is more advanced and it diffuses more advanced than diffuse porous wood, and it provides more translocation when requirement of the plant is high. So this is an introduction that I would like to give here. But apart from that, what are the other things that you know about a ring porous wood? See, a ring porous wood will have vessels more numerous. That is, you have more vessels. More vessels. Numerous and usually large in cross section in spring wood, when resulting more and less distinguished line between the spring wood and the last season wood. So what are the ring porous wood and diffuse porous wood? See, in ring porous wood, the vessels laid down at the beginning of the growing season as much larger than the subsequent vessels when laid at the end of the season. While if you take a diffuse porous trees, they form vessels of roughly of the same radial diameter throughout the growing section. So one thing that you need to which you have to understand here is the ring porous wood during the season and at the end of the season, that is beginning and the end of the season, there's a little difference. But when you take a diffuse wood, it is almost the same type of growth that you see at the end and the starting. So now I think you will guess the answer. Yes, the right answer is option C. Ring porous wood carries more water than when it is needed in higher range. Therefore, the correct option is C. Next question here. Cork is formed from dash. Okay, this is again an easy question for you because the question is direct and you also have the answer. You almost have a clue here. Of course, it is option A, cork cambium phellogen. Phellogen present in the outer cortical cells produces cork or phellogen on the outer side, which consists of dead and compactly arranged rectangular cells that possess subrise cells walls, which causes them to become buoyant. So the correct answer to this question is option A, and I also told you some commercial purposes of why do we use a cork system for beverages, especially alcoholic beverages. So these are the different functions of the cork, but they are nothing but the dead matter or the dead elements that is accumulated on the surface of the plant, which is obtained and used for other purposes. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A. So with this, we complete anatomy of flowering plants. The full chapter is completed with 6 parts. Hope to meet you in the next new chapter. Thank you for watching my video.